Welcome in, guys, to a recap the NFL draft for 2022, and the 3-day draft is over. I know I'm super fan talking about this, so I'm going to talk about the winners and the losers of the draft. So we had the Jacksonville Jaguars, do ball football. They're back. Number one draft pick. They got Trevor Lawrence last season when he was number one last season, and then in this draft they're the first to get in the 2022 draft, and they get an edge. Like, the second season, Trevor Lawrence was fucking trash last year. He was one of the worst quarterbacks last year in the NFL. And I know you can say, oh, well, Urban Meyers and the Khan family, and it was all a mixture of Trent Baalke and whatever. You can say whatever. But the fact of the matter is, majority of those games, Trevor Lawrence looked great. The majority of those other games, Trevor Lawrence looked okay. Like, he looked a bit of mix. You didn't know what you had with Trevor Lawrence. In his second year, you need people around him to throw with. You like, the defense is okay, but this is not 1985's NFL. Oh, defense, like the defense wins the fucking the Super Bowl. It does not. This is 2022 football where offense wins you a fucking Super Bowl. It's not about, oh, well, if we play defensive football, he's 1985. So shut the hell up with that logic. That logic doesn't make any sense. So basically, next year, if Trevor wants to work out this season 2022, the next year you're going to be back in the draft because you're going to be like 3-11, and you're going to go for another quarterback, maybe like a Bryce Young, and then you're going to waste him, and then who else are you going to go after next? So you botched the draft up. The Jags botched up the draft to not give weapons around Trevor Lawrence to see how good he is. And they actually get an edge rush in Trayvon Walker, which is a good player, but they don't need that. That's not really necessary. They need people around Trevor Lawrence to actually to make him a better player. And then you have number 2, Aiden Hudson. Again, the Lions going into this offseason needed a quarterback. And I heard the rumors about Baker in midfield. I'm like, no, do not go for Baker in midfield. You need a quarterback. Go for a gamble. I know this draft class isn't the best, but this quarterback class isn't the best. But go for a quarterback like a Malik Willis, or go for somebody like a Matt Corral. But no, you're going to stay with Jared Goff. Now I don't mind the pick of Aiden Hudson because he's a good player, and you need a lot of bodies in the Lions team. But you needed a quarterback, so you can have a year of Jared Goff for a second year. Philly had a good draft. They got Nakobe Dean, the linebacker. They got AJ Green from a trade from the Titans. Baltimore, they had a good draft as well. I liked how the Ravens draft. I love how when they do the draft, they're not panicking like most of these front office teams are. Like, oh my god, like running around like having a meltdown in the office. Like, the Ravens picked their moments. They were like, we're gonna go for this guy. So they got Kyle Hamilton at what number was he? Kyle Hamilton at number 14, and that was a good acquisition. And I like the approach of that. Then we have New Orleans, who again was another loser in this draft. Like, they needed a quarterback. They had 4 quarterbacks last season that was playing. They didn't have a regular, consistent quarterback. Because James Winston was injured most of the season, and you had Ian Book had a down game. Ian Book had a primetime game on TV. They had other quarterbacks, so they needed a quarterback in this draft, and they get a wide receiver. They trade that pick in 16 to trade it to the Commanders to get John Donson, the wide receiver. And then the Steelers at 20, they got Kenny Pickett. So again, I was shocked that Kenny Pickett even went at 20. Like, if you look at like Malik Willis, his physique, I thought like he's one of him and Matt Corral are 2 of the best quarterbacks coming out of this class, and he came out at 20. Green Bay, again, there was another team that really had a really weird draft, like first round. You get a linebacker instead of a wide receiver. You let go of Devontae Adams to the Raiders, but you don't get a wide receiver to like the 3rd or 4th round. Like, come on, like, that's just clown fucking show. And then Devin Lloyd, who went to the Jags. Again, a good acquisition, but you need weapon on Trevor Lawrence. So And then in the other rounds we had Ken Walker, who went to Seattle. Seattle had a bad draft as well. Seattle needed a quarterback, especially after Russell Wilson, and you know you had that draft capital that you got from the Russ trade, but you don't even get a quarterback. Like you could have got a Malik Willis or a Matt Corral or a Desmond Ridder who went in the third round, but you know it's like this just shows how much this Pete Carroll and this front office don't know what the fuck they're doing in these drafts, because Pete Carroll's like, oh well, I want this. Pete Carroll needs to leave Seattle. This is a true big rebuild. I said this in my recap before the draft. It's a big rebuild, and Pete Carroll needs to leave Seattle. He's 71. Like, come on, this guy's going to be there long term. What are you going to do? Give him a front office job? Because look at him in the draft recently. He botched this draft. He botched last year's draft. Come on, like get a young coach that's going to be, going down with these kids and enthusiastic and stuff like that. I did like that David Ajobi. David Ajobi went to Baltimore in the 45th pick. Other things in the draft, like Malik Willis went in the third round. Was he 86th pick to the Titans? So that was a good draft for the Titans, that they got a quarterback, because Ryan Tannehill is not a good. They need to improve on Ryan Tannehill. And Sam Howell, he got drafted in the 5th round to the Commanders. So they're ready for Carson Wentz. When Carson Wentz shit hits the fan, they're like, we want out of this. We want gone. The Bears, again, they didn't have a good draft, because this draft was like the Jags draft. They needed people around Justin Fields to see how good of a quarterback he's going to be. And they get defensive players. You've got Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus, who's playing Bears football. That's right, I played some Bears football, 1985 Bears football. That is right. We're bringing back to 1985. We're going to have defensive guys, and we're not going to think about actually, having weapons around and protecting Justin Fields. But yeah. And then the Cardinals, they had Trey McBride, who's a tight end from Colorado. Atlanta, the Falcons got a quarterback. They had Desmond Ridder, which, again, I heard a lot of people talking a lot of bad about it, but, I mean, they needed a quarterback, and they got Marcus Mariota as their second quarterback, so, we'll have to see how he is in the NFL, but, yeah, so that is overall my thoughts on the NFL draft for 2022. Leave your guys' thoughts on this draft in the comments.